The chamber was spherical. Fused black glass skinned its walls. Stalactites projected inwards from them, their tips needled fingers pointing to the thing that lay at its heart. To Volk's eyes, it was a vast statue cut from a lump of black stone. Its features were crude and seemed to have been hacked into the stone in blunt relief. Its limbs were held tight to its bulk, its legs folded beneath, its arms clutched close. It reminded Volk of a primitive gargoyle. Rows of teeth snarled from beneath lidless eyes. Wings sat curled on its back, and each of the 8 arms folded across its torso and back held a different weapon. A knife, an axe, a sword. Chains bound it, looping over it, punching into the stone and radiating away to the edge of the chamber. The links glowed yellow and white with heat. Pools of molten metal hung in the air, filling the cascades that poured from the openings dotting the inner surface of the chamber. The statue's serrated smile gathered shadows from the furnace glow. Volk wanted to look away, but his gaze held on to the statue. Memories filled him, pressing into his mind like claws into wet clay. He felt the bite of a stone edge in his neck, and knew that the hand that had napped the flint was the first to make such a tool, not to cut wood or kill for food, but for murder. He felt the heat on his face as the hammer fell on the twisted rods of steel, blow by blow making them a sword that would carry a song of conquest into the future. He felt the kick of the rifle butt into his shoulder, tasted the black powder smoke in the back of his throat, felt the caress of 1,000 tools of death as they touched history for the first time. Argonis shifted beside him, and suddenly he was aware of the others standing with him on that lip of stone, gazing at the statue. Perturabo stalked forwards, slowly, the shell of his exo-armor moving with a whisper. Volk tried to move, but could not. Heat threaded through him, whispering as it touched servos, spreading in a murmur across interface links.
Son of my son.
Volk heard the voice, heard it echo, but knew it had spoken inside his skull to him alone. It was deep, like the sound of distant guns.
I have waited and watched you for so long. I have so much to give you.
Pain flooded him. He was falling without moving, the sight of the cavernous circle shrinking above him as he plunged down and down. Every piece of flesh in his body felt as though it were cooking, the nerves singing as the sinew charred. He tried to claw himself up, but the light of the present was growing smaller. All he could remember was the past broken into shards. The first cut of a knife through his skin, the clatter of a gun chamber eating rounds, the roar of enemies charging, more numerous than the bullets ripping them apart, and the hunger for more strength, for a sharper edge, for the power to tear them down and leave them as blood in the mud. He was there screaming the song of the killing edge and the bullet's kiss.
Do not resist. There is so much that you will be.
The voice was a patchwork of gunfire and explosions, the sounds stitched together from slices of a life spent living to destroy, endure, and destroy again.
So long have you endured, but you were not meant to survive. You were meant to be cast down, to burn and break. That is the dream of your souls, and the dream you shall live. I give, so I must take, and I shall give to you. But before that, I have a service that you must do for me.
Volk felt the presence rise in him. He could fight, but he did not want to. The voice in his skull did not sound like something to deny. It sounded like the wishes and fears he had held ever since he had come from the wrecked cities. He had always been strong, but never strong enough. A killer, but never equal to the enemies that came against him. And now he knew he would be. Iron within, iron without. He opened the last stitch of his soul, and the furnace fire poured into him. He opened his mouth.
My son,
said the demon. The iron circle turned, weapons rising. Argonis's bolter was in his hand and leveled. Volk's gaze rose to meet them. His face was a mask over fire. Roaring light spilled from the holes of his eyes. The metal of his augmetics was red with heat. The demon looked down the barrels of the guns and smiled.
son of my son, I had waited long for your coming.
The plates and pistons down Perturabo's back twitched in sequence before he turned.
You are the creature that is bound here,
he said.
Bound, preserved, hidden, set free. It is a matter of perspective. You are bound,
said Perturabo, and raised the head of his hammer to point at the demon's burning grin.
And being bound, you can suffer. Do not play games with me. I am here for information that you shall give me. I know,
said the demon.
You seek your brother. You seek the eightfold prince of slaughter. I know this, Perturabo. I have watched him through the eyes of the guns that fire on his fields of battle. I know that Horus has sent you to bring anger on back. A dog sent to drag his rabid kin back to the hearth.
Perturabo did not move or speak. Then he was across the gap between him and Volk's body, his hand clamped around Volk's throat, lifting him off the floor. He held him there, pistons and servos hissing as they braced. He looked into the fire pouring from Volk's eyes. His face was impassive. Heat washed from Volk's mouth as the demon chuckled.
I am the red in your blood in the edge of your blade, Lord of Iron.
The voice weighted the title with mockery.
I know your kind,
said Perturabo.
I have seen your heart. I have felt the kindness of your lies. The bastard child of the Emperor cut you deep, my son,
said the demon.
He took so much from you. Your strength, your certainty. I can see it. You are bleeding still.
Volk's hand rose. Perturabo's grip tightened, but the demon simply tapped the plates covering the Primarch's forearm with a metal digit.
All the iron without will not heal such wounds.
A muscle twitched in Perturabo's temple.
But a weapon, Perturabo. A weapon to match that of the gods. Then what would the lies of my kind mean? You sought such a weapon on Talon. Yes, and had it torn from your grasp by the brother you serve. But you never thought to look within.
Perturabo was silent for a long moment, then released his grip on Volk's throat. But the warrior remained hanging in the air, the burning grin still in place.
What is this you have brought us to?
asked Argonis, the words coming dry from his mouth, but his bolter steady.
He brought you to where he thought he could find answers,
said the demon through Volk's mouth.
But his path leads in a circle down, ever down. No matter how far you try to move away, back you come to the Black Heart. He keeps finding the answers it is not one to hear.
The demon was still looking at Argonis.
The courts and principalities of the ether are at war, scrambling over the soul of your war master and his bastard brothers. You are sharp edge, Argonis. A sharp edge.
smiled with a half-metal ruin of Volk's mouth.
Release him, demon!
Snarled Argonis.
You actually care, don't you? I have no heart for human attachments. Only the severance matters. But you have a murderous soul, Argonis. You should not care what happens to this one any more than you care what happened to the brothers you killed on Istvan, or the tunnel children you left bleeding for food before you became the Unscarred.
It smiled. Molten metal stretched between Volk's teeth.
You should not care, yet you do. Like a brother. Enough!
Said Perturabo, and the word echoed over the roar of the molten iron falling from the world above.
You are the heart of Sarum. The Red Priests are yours. But they know, you know. So answer me now. Where is Agron? How can we find him? The same way you can find any beast gone rabid. Follow the carcasses and the cries of the dying. That is not an answer. Come, son of iron, do not disappoint your father. I have given you many gifts in the long years, but this one cannot be given freely. How long have you been bound here?
Asked Argonis before Perturabo could speak. Volk's head pivoted towards him.
Since times lost and unremembered, Wolf of the Folia. I was there when the first soul made a tool to take life. I was born in bones sharpened to points and flint shattered into arrowheads. The roar of gunpowder and the curve of the scimitar are my breath, and the smile I give to the battlefield.
Embers breathed from Volk's mouth. What remained of his visible flesh was black and blistering.
Others were born from the first murder. But the first weapon was my mother, and the hand that made it my father. And every kill you make, I am with you in the making of. I am the muse of atrocity, and such songs have you made with the instruments I gave you. Yet you are trapped here,
said Argonis.
I have seen your kind. I have seen the War Master summon and dismiss the most powerful of your kin. They do not sit in chains.
He looked from Volk to Perturabo.
This is a thing of deceit, Lord. A creature that would barter any lie to be free. But I do not want freedom, son of Horus.
Argonis blinked then.
I am a prisoner who appreciates its bars keep others out as much as they keep me in. Freedom is not the price for what you ask.
Silence fell, stretching, broken only by the creak of Volk's armor as it strained with growing heat.
What is the price?
Said Perturabo at last.
Are you set on doing what Horus asks, or are you going to turn aside? My course is set,
said Perturabo.
Speak your price. There is a song of destruction, Perturabo. Every blade, every bullet sings its song in the shadow of our realm. You have been hearing this song for your whole life. All I wish is that you open your soul to it. That you sing your song of obliteration, so that I may hear it. I will not give you my soul,
said Perturabo, his voice a rasp of warning.
Not you, nor any of your kind. I know, but I will hear you sing for me, son of iron and blood. It is not the price of what you ask. It is the consequence of the path you walk. The price was hearing you say that you would not turn aside, and hearing the truth in your words. You cannot give me your soul, Perturabo. You have been ours since life sparked in your flesh.
Perturabo flicked a hand. The iron circle surged forward with a boom of released pistons. Explosive rounds roared from the cannons on their shoulders. Volk twitched as the gunfire tore into him. His body was distorting glowing with heat now, the armor plates flowing soft, the flesh glowing like unquenched steel. Within, he watched and heard every word coming from his lips, but he was not listening. He could hear the sound of eternity roaring around him.
Deluge,
Said the demon.
you will find what you seek on Deluge.
Perturabo turned and stepped towards the door they had come through.
He is not your brother any longer,
Said the demon.
any more than the serpent child fool that was Fulgrim is anything other than an echo of the being you once knew. They are slaves, chained to the power that remade them. Give me back my son,
Said Perturabo, his voice low, his eyes unblinking.
or I will shatter this prison that keeps you free from the tides of your master and vile kin. You talk too much, creature. You do not wish freedom from your chains. You want to keep the freedom from a god that would claim you. Give me my son.
The demon was silent. The air shimmered around Volk's body.
I am not going to give him back to you.
Said the demon.
I am going to give you a weapon. There are betrayals still waiting for you, Lord of Iron. Other brothers that will turn on you as Fulgrim did. Oh, not Angron. Not any who are shackled to the gods. Mortal treachery cuts deeper than that of gods. For what promises do gods ever make that they can betray?
Volk's body dropped to the rocky floor, a jumble of half-melted metal and cooked meat.
Do you know what a weapon is, Perturabo? It is a question. Hold a knife against the throat and you have to ask, what am I?
Volk's body twitched. Perturabo's weapons loaded and charged with a clatter of ammunition and a buzz of charge coils.
You see, for all of the beautiful, terrible things I have helped mortals create, they are just matter. A knife's edge means nothing. A bullet is just metal before it leaves the barrel.
A mass of armor and bubbling flesh began to stand. Somehow a voice still came from his mouth.
It takes a soul and mind to pull the trigger. To make a tool a weapon.
The last syllable was a creaking hiss from charred lips. The figure that had been Volk raised its head and opened its eyes.